Hey everyone, Grimm here. This is Kathy from Slightly in the Future, popping in to make a correction about something I'm about to say. Hope this won't be a regular thing, but I don't want to reshoot the whole thing just because of this. So, regarding the Nobel Prize, of course, 2020, the Nobel Prize was awarded to Louise Gluck, the American poet, and then I found out that 2019, the prize was actually awarded to Peter Handke, the person I didn't want to mention in the video, the German person with who's kind of I don't know. There's a lot of issues with him. But then Tokarczuk, the woman whose book I review in this video, was awarded 2018, but it was given to her in 19. So she's the 2018 winner, but it was awarded to her in 2019. Just wanted to set the record straight. Bye-bye. Hey everyone, Grimm here. I come to you today with a short, I'm thinking will be short, we never know, review of my second most recent read, a 5-star read, and it's the novel Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk, who the most recent winner of the Nobel Prize, alongside someone whose name we won't mention for reasons. But this is a lovely novel. I really enjoyed it. About basically the main character is an outsider, an somewhat older woman who is a loner, and it's a book that we're kind of completely enmeshed in her world and her view of the world and her take on the world, which is her understanding of the world is fascinating, because on the one hand we get glimpses of how the world, the people around her, see her, and they kind of write her off as an eccentric and annoying because stubborn person. And she is also, I have to say, she gives hints as to being one of the people who we all know, well, we know the type who writes letters of complaint to institutions, or basically so a sort of a true curmudgeon in that sense. In German there's a word, querulant, someone who's constantly complaining and sort of registering his or her complaint. It makes me think of the whole Karen thing, which I'm having thoughts about too, but that's neither here nor there for the book. So on the one hand, if seen from the outside, you could sort of equally fall into this position of wanting to write her off as a lonely, eccentric, annoying, angry old lady. But because we get her take on everything about the world and her interesting views on the world, specifically the natural world and also the animals in the world, it's basically a lot to do with the human-animal interface. It's totally fascinating, and we love her. I loved her. I love her as a character, and I don't think I'm the only one, despite the facts that there are a lot of sort of strikes against her. And we kind of see her as a lovable person, and also so slowly, and because we kind of we don't sort of get introduced to her from the outside, we gradually find out more about her life and what has happened to her and how she makes a living and her sort of daily comings and goings, which are all very sort of also kind of strange and interesting, and her friendships to people around her kind of, she's a sort of what I call a wacky group of friends too, she's very good about like immediately deciding, okay, I like this person, I don't like this person. I kind of love that about her, how she immediately can identify the people who are in her court and they help her, and she likes them, and they kind of get along. There's one person who takes a bit of time to come around to that person, but she does. But then there's also very clearly the people that she's sort of basically at war with, for reasons that I'm trying to do a lot of talking about the book without spoiling it too much, but there is the other side. There are the people that and so these are the people who basically, I'm going to just call them the patriarchy, and who just do things that she finds wrong for a whole bunch of reasons. And I really think it's a wonderful work to read. It's a very pleasurable reading experience, and not a difficult one. Even sort of superficial, but perhaps not. The very short little there's a lot of white space on the pages, and so it kind of gives you time to think and reflect on what you've just read. Little sort of, and also it's strung together very, very well. The plot is there's quite a bit of plot, and there's the crime element to it. There are crimes committed, but it's not really a plot novel. I'm being vague, pretty sure, but it's a beautiful novel, and it's beautifully written, and it's also quite literary. One of the sort of literary echoes or references is William Blake, which is where the title comes from, Proverbs by Blake. And I'm not that familiar with Blake's poetry, but enough to know that he himself was an eccentric, and also very, very sort of a genius eccentric, so very talented. And so her and her main buddy, Dizzy, this young fellow, they sit around and translate Blake from English to Polish. Now, that's a pretty up there hobby. that's not playing Patience or watching YouTube videos. And her other hobby, which kind of also is significant, is her connection to astrology. She's an astrologist. She's an amateur astrologist. And so there again, on the one hand, you think, well, that's wacky. But on the other hand, it's sort of fascinating. And the way she can align people's lives with this, where the planets are, is charming, even if you don't really want to go with it all the way. It's not annoying at all. It's just done. She's obviously a very bright person. She's very sort of, most of her takes on the world make a lot of sense. Let's put it that way. And then there's also sort of a narrative of, I guess an illness narrative. She has never really that clearly defined, she calls them her ailments, capital A. And they come and go, and they kind of throw her for a loop sometimes. And on the one hand, they're mainly physical, but there is a sense that they kind of affect her mental state as well. And there's a warmth to the novel, specifically when it comes to her friendships with her people. But there's also, of course, there's a darkness to it, because it does take place in this little forest, kind of isolated, remote area of Poland. And it kind of also moves through the seasons in an interesting way. I highly recommend this novel. Not difficult to read. It does take a stand. I mean, a kind of radical stand in a certain sense, specifically to do with animal rights, I guess, which I, for one, I was drawn to that. I've had my own issues with attempting to avoid being vegan, and I have not succeeded, but I still kind of think it's the way the world should go, or at least that radical changes need to be made regarding how we harvest our food. Plus, I mean, the wild animals, I mean, I just think in the novel, the way they sort of enter into the novel is kind of, they're not that present, but is interesting too. So just a little short video telling you about my most recent read. And yeah, I will be with you very soon. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.